About 6 weeks ago, I quit my safe management job, not because I'm reckless, but because burnout was slowly killing my soul. And it may be killing yours too. About a year and a half ago, I started to have an icky feeling about my job. You see, by then I have been a team leader for about 9 months, and even though it was a position that I applied for twice and I thought I really wanted, for some reason I wasn't happy and I was starting to feel a lot of guilt about it. When I got the team leader position that I really wanted, there was like mixed emotions about it. On one hand, I was very scared because of course it was something totally new for me, but at the same time I was very excited and grateful for the opportunity, and I really wanted to prove myself and be really good at it. So I was always on the clock. I was working really long hours at the store, but at the same time I was bringing work back home, and I would keep answering phone calls, emails, texts, and I was trying to learn everything that would help me do my job better, like how to manage difficult employees or how to be the best leader that I could be. So I would never stop really working. It became the most important thing in my life. And it paid off. After only 4 months, there were some layoffs, and unfortunately they let go of my team leader and made me the general manager of that location. It was shocking and very bittersweet experience because I really admire her and look up to her for advice and guidance. But at the same time, I knew that it was a great opportunity and that I had to put my shit together so I could do my job properly and prove them that I was up for the challenge. So for the next months, I have huge imposter syndrome. I was so anxious about all the responsibilities that this new position came with, and honestly, I didn't feel prepared for it. But I just kept going, no breaks, and trying to ask for the least amount of help because first of all, I didn't want to inconvenience anyone, and also I didn't want them to think that I didn't have what it takes. Also, my family and my friends seemed to be really proud of me, and I didn't want to disappoint them. And I have to admit also that my ego liked the new position and the respect, recognition, and perks that it came with. For the first time, I felt like I mattered and that everybody knew how capable I was. I guess I felt seen and validated. It was very demanding, challenging, and triggering at times. But at the same time, it came with good money and benefits, and it was stable and safe, and I was learning and growing. So I convinced myself that with time, it would only get easier and I would only get better at it and I would be able to actually enjoy it. But in the meantime, my personal life started to disappear. I had no friends, no hobbies. I didn't want to do anything after work, and I started neglecting myself, my needs, my relationships, and my passions. Sometimes I was able to take one day off here and there in order to have a longer break, but to be honest with you, even then I couldn't totally detach myself from work. I would be thinking about all the emails that I would have to respond when I went back to work on Monday, and all the problems that I would probably have to solve that were left behind. So even when I was off, I couldn't relax, and I was always anxious about what was coming next. Also, I wasn't able to sleep properly, and every time there was a problem at work, I would bring it with me. that night and try to solve it at 3 a.m. instead of having some rest to be able to function next morning. So of course I was exhausted all the time and didn't have energy to do anything fun after work. My weekends or my Sundays, because I only had one day off during the weekend, were so boring, and all I could do was recovering from the stress of the week during that day. Also, I started to gain weight and to self-medicate myself with wine every single day after work. Some days it was just one glass, some days was a little more than that, maybe 2 or 3 glasses of wine, but it became a daily routine after work. Every time I left work, I would be thinking of the moment I uncorked that bottle. That was my favorite sound in the whole world during those times, because it was the only way to cope with all the stress. At some point, I started questioning if that was really the life I wanted to live for the rest of my years. And I thought, there has to be something more than this. This can't be it, can it? And luckily, I found this podcast that talks about manifestation, but based on science. So they combine psychology, neuroscience, epigenetics, and energetics. The name of it is Expanded, and just to make it clear, they're not sponsoring this video. They don't even know about my existence. I'm just telling you because it did make a difference. So I started listening to this podcast every single day, and after around 2 months of listening to their episodes, I decided just to sign up for their membership and do real deep work on myself. I have been meditating here and there for about 2 decades now, but I have never done shadow work or inner child work before. And let me tell you, I realized how working with the subconscious can unblock a lot of our limiting beliefs. Just like Carl Jung said once, until you make the subconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Very soon I started manifesting some things, but the biggest one, I think, it was my rental home. I really wanted a home with a pool because I live in the desert, and in the summer it can get to 1,000 degrees, so I need a pool. Also, I thought, oh yeah, I want a pool because I want to invite everybody from work and throw these pool parties and entertain. And also I wanted a big bathtub, and I wanted a walking trail to go on walks and, be happy and start my day feeling great. And I got it all. I got the pool, the bathtub, the walking trails. I threw one party for my co-workers. I think I took like 3 baths during 1 year. And the walking trail, I used it almost every day during the last year. Actually, I think that was the reason why I could actually function in my job and didn't fire anybody during the last year. But then, after only 1.5 months after moving into my dream home, the most challenging times during my life with that company became true. We had to change computer systems after 40 years of using the same one, and to say it was a nightmare would be an understatement. Honestly, I think that if I wasn't doing all that personal work and drinking all that wine, I would have probably quit back then. But to be honest with you, I didn't even have a clue of what I wanted to do or, a backup plan. Nothing. So I just stayed and deal with it as usual. The only thing that I had really, really clear was that that was not the life I wanted to continue living for the next years. So I made it through the year, yay! And the new year came, but I didn't make any of the typical resolutions for the new year. I didn't want the abs or lose the extra weight. Man, I didn't even want to quit drinking. All I wanted to do and what I committed to was to keep doing the work, the personal work, consistently and show up for myself until I found clarity of what I wanted to do for a living. So I kept doing that, and I kept consuming a lot of content of people who are making a living in a non-traditional way. Oh, and actually I ended up quitting alcohol back in February, so it's about 6 months now. Yay! What I did notice during that process was that I was more self-aware, I was more calm, more grounded, and less reactive. When I had a conflict at work or I had to solve a problem, I would stop, take a deep breath, or 10, and once I was a little calmer, then I would respond or react to the problem. So that gave me a lot of confidence in myself, and I felt way better. I realized that even though my life was pretty much the same than last year, my reaction or my response to challenges was different. I wasn't that reactive or easily triggered anymore. Of course, I wasn't perfect, and I would still have days where, something triggered me and I would react. Probably not in the best way, but the difference was my self-awareness. So I would think back and, analyze why I reacted the way I did to understand where I had to do more work or where did that come from. All of a sudden, I started to understand my patterns, and I realized that I don't have to impress anybody. And the only person who I need validation from is from myself. And I realized that I'm designed to live a softer, calmer life, and that not every boss lady has to look like Miranda Priestley. So eventually I felt called to get certified on Reiki. And after completing Reiki level 2, I knew that I had to give my notice. I was dragging myself to go to work every day, and I didn't feel like I was fully present for my team anymore. I knew it wasn't fair for me, for the company, for my team, or my customers. After some weeks of entertaining the thought, I decided to just call my boss and tell him. And of course, I was freaking scared. I was thinking, what if I'm just throwing away this awesome opportunity, this great job that a lot of people would love to have, just to see what's out there? Like, really? But on the other hand, I was like, why not? I had all this evidence of people doing what they were really passionate about and thriving at it. So I thought, why not me? And why not now? I mean, I'm not getting any younger. And honestly, if I ended up didn't liking it, I could always go and find another job. It's not like I'm gonna do this or die, And I thought I would rather fail at trying than always be wondering, what if? So I gracefully gave them 35 days notice in order for them to find my replacement. And finally, on July 5th, I said goodbye to that chapter of my life in order to explore my possibilities. During my first month after quitting, I realized that recovering from burnout takes time. It's not linear. There's ups and downs and better days than others, but it's all part of the process and of the experience of being alive, really. Of course, I'm very grateful with the whole experience and all the growth that it came through it. It taught me really valuable lessons that I'm trying to implement on my daily life as I go through this new experience. The number one is only I can define what success means to me. Number two, it's very important to recognize my own limits and set boundaries. Number three, I need to prioritize my self-care because I cannot pour from an empty cup. Number four, I really need to prioritize my relationships because there's no job in the world that it's going to take care of you if you're sick or listen to you when you need somebody to hold space for you. And number five, it's okay to take pauses during the day and to look around you and be grateful for the little things because that's when life happens. Today, I still don't have a full plan figured out or a whole strategy of what am I going to do for the next few years. I have some ideas though that I really want to try, like this YouTube channel, which is something I have been wanting to do for over 7 years, but I never had the time or the courage to do it. So here I am, putting myself out there and see what it comes from it. So I'm just taking one day at a time and trusting the process. And I know that by doing that and trying things that my soul really wants to try, someday, somehow, a great opportunity will show up. So if you're still watching, thank you so much. I can't believe you made it all the way through here. I really hope you found this helpful, inspiring, or at least a little bit entertaining. And that you can see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I would love to hear from you in the comments if you have ever had this nudge as well. And next week I will post a Reiki session to help you with burnout and stress release. So if you don't want to miss it, I would highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and the little bell, and I will see you next week. I'm sending you love and compassionate healing. Thank you.